So thanks for coming, everybody. This is our update on the new features in version Guacamole of LandTracker. So the first thing that I want to go through is just a change to the way that views are displayed. So if we go into View Tenements, previously we would have all of our views together, so you would have a list of all of your tenement types followed by all of the child tables, so the additional information about the tenements. That's been split out now just to make it a little bit easier to navigate. So you can go into tenement types and see all of them. This database obviously has a lot. And then related data types is going to give you the tables of the dealings and expenditure and so on. So it's just a little bit easier to find those in there. And you can actually create your own groups as well. So that's a new feature that just allows you, if you've got a lot of views, to be able to basically classify them and group them together just to make it a little bit easier to navigate rather than having them all showing up in alphabetical order. So the way that we do that is through Manage Views. So we'll just bring that up. And in this case, we're looking at tenement views. So the easiest place to start is just to filter them. So if I right-click on View.Tenement, filter by selection, now I can see all of my tenement views. So you can see in here that there's a few views that I've got here to do with project, and I might want to put those just grouped together as project. And it's as simple as just going in and typing a name for a group. So you don't need to create a group in advance, you're just basically classifying them. So if we put in here, and so I can just say anything that I want to be in a group called Project Tenements. I can just type that in. And now if I save that, go back into View Tenements, and now they're all grouped in here under Project Tenements. So it's just quite an easy way of grouping those. If I wanted to change the sort order, that's something that we've added in as well now. So there's sequence column, and you can say what order you want them to appear. They're sorted first of all by any that don't have a sequence number, and then numerically. So within this group, I'll just get these down here. I can say what order I want these to appear in the group just by numbering them from 1 and so on. So I can say 1, I want that one second, and that one third, and that one fourth, or whatever sequence I want them. If you give more than one the same sequence, it'll sort those ones alphabetically.
Can I just make a comment, Lorena?
Do you mind just saving comments till the end, just because we're recording this?
Okay. Well, it's just relevant at the time, but that's okay. I'll wait.
So we've now got the project tenements, and they're sorted alphabetically within that. Sorted by the sequence that I set. So now you can choose what you want at the top, what you want at the bottom, without having to do that by adding on asterisks and letters and things at the beginning of them. Now we've also got changes to the way that actions work, the action views. And so I'll just bring up a couple of those. It's a little bit different whether you're in tenement or agreement actions or whether you're in view actions, so I'll just bring those up side by side. Just bring that one up. Okay, so what we have, when you go into tenement actions, you're going to get all of the views that relate to tenements. If you've got agreements, you'll get the views that are related to agreements. So previously, when you went into actions, you'd see all of them, and you wouldn't know necessarily whether it was a tenement or an agreement view. So they're split out now. And then when you go into the all actions, you'll then be able to see that you've got all of your agreement actions grouped together, all of your tenement actions grouped together, and then if you've got any views that are not related explicitly to agreements or to tenements, then they'll show up separately listed at the bottom. So you might have a view of actions that might contain both agreement and tenement ones, so that would show up in all actions. Now it does depend where you are when you create the view, who it belongs to. So if you create a view under tenement actions, then it becomes a tenement action view. If you were to create it through the all actions, then it will belong to all actions. Now we've also got some new application settings. So if I go in here in application settings, under general and then in here, we've got one here that is default comment format, which is this one here. So you can set how you want comments to appear in your entire database without having to go into every view and set that independently. Now you can override that on individual views, but if you want all of your comments to be under, you want them all to be shown in a column or any of the other options, icons and things, you can set that in here. Now on the user guide, under application settings, we do have in here what those different settings are and how to use those. The other new application setting that we've got in here is autocomplete preserve checklist equals true. Now what that means is previously when you were to bulk complete your actions, it would take all of the tasks that were attached to those actions and it would get rid of them and just replace it with one saying it had been auto-completed. So if you had ticked off some of those actions, it would remove those. If you put any comments on them, on those tasks, then they would be gone as well. And you'd get similar behaviour when there was auto-completion taking place because a rent had been paid or your expenditure had been lodged. So now you have the ability to override that. So if you set this setting saying that the preserved checklist equals true, it won't delete those ones. Anything that's been ticked will actually be maintained. The other new feature, which some of you probably saw if you attended my previous webinar, is alerts. So now you have the ability to send out alerts either as an automated process when certain conditions are met, or use it for manual reporting or manual sending of alerts. Now the way this actually works is that they are sent from the LandTrack systems service at 7 o'clock in the morning if you've set them up to be automated, so that's just something to keep in mind. But you can set up an alert email that contains multiple views and will be sent out to anybody that you wish. So you can set a subject, you can set headers and footers for the email, you can filter your results based on any global filters that you've got in the system. You can specify as many people as you want to be the email to be sent to, CC'd or BCC'd, as long as those are people that you've got set up as contacts in your system. And also you can set a reply address. So you would, if you're administering the system, you're going to want to know if any of those are undeliverable. So you would put your own details in or the email address of a communal email address or something like that that you want to receive any replies. So it might be that you're sending out emails that are asking people to take actions and you want them to let you know when they have completed those. So you'll set your reply address to whoever's going to receive that reply. You can also set an interval, so this is similar to the recurring actions, so you're going to specify when you want these emails to be sent out, so it might be every week on a Monday or something along those lines, and how long you want that to occur for. And then you have a series or one or more views that are going to be attached to it. So I'll just open up one of these emails just so that you can see what it might look like. So this is an update on actions. So it's going to have these 3 views, so any actions that are coming up, any actions that are completed, and in this case I've also chosen to have another view on the bottom that is just from another part of the system, so in this case it's just a filtered list of contacts. So I won't go into all the details about how to set this up, just to say that you need to basically set up some views first of all, and then they're filtered based on if they're action ones, days in the past, days in the future, or you might want it to send out ones for completed. Once you've set it all up, you then can press the preview button, and that will actually generate that email so you can have a look at it. So you can use this for manually sending them out. So if you've got reports that you send out on a regular basis, you can pre-configure those in here. You can set them so that they're not automatically emailed out, and then just go in here when you want to generate it and click the preview button, and that will create the email that you can just send. You can also specify with these is priority checkboxes that you only want the email to be sent out if there is a result in at least one of these views, so it won't send out blank emails. And we've also got a history, so any emails that have been sent out are maintained in a history. So we can go into here, we can see the details of the email that was sent out. You can see a copy of exactly what was contained in that email. You can see who it was sent to and basically see all of the details of that original email. And if you need to regenerate it, so you want to send this out to somebody else, you can click the preview button. That'll recreate that email, no matter how far long ago that was, and you can resend that out manually. The only thing is the history doesn't include emails that you've manually sent. They're only the ones that have been automatically sent. And there's full details about how to set this up in the user guide. There are a couple of considerations with some of the views at the moment. So if you do want to send it up, please contact support and we'll just run through a couple of things with you and just make sure that it's been configured so it will send it out the way you want and when you want. Now the other new feature that we've got, the other big one, is due diligence reporting. So that's in the acquisitions module, which has been made available to all of you. It's accessed by clicking on due diligence reports. Now for those of you that have mineral titles audit, this is actually designed to replace the functionality of mineral titles audit, which will be ceased at the end of this year. So we do strongly recommend that you start using this. Let us know if there is any features that you use in mineral titles audit that are not available in here, so that we make sure that we include those for you. Now the difference between accessing data through here and through the rest of LandTracker is you're not actually looking at your own data here. We've got a central repository that's a database of all tenements in Australia, and that's what it's going to be looking at rather than data that you've imported. So there's a couple of ways that we can find information. If I go in to do an inquiry, you can do a search for any tenements by holder or anything else that you would want to do. So say I wanted to search for all holders that have West in their name and are in WA. So I can do a search, and that's immediately identified 2,234 tenements that meet that criteria. This is just to give you an idea about how quick it is, because we're not pulling the information into your own database. So I can click on Browse Tenements now, and I can immediately see all of those tenements, except it's gone onto the other window. There we go, you can see those tenements. So these might be ones that you're wanting to monitor, or you might be looking at them for due diligence purposes, and we've immediately got all of that data about those tenements. We can see the details of them, so you can see all of their dealings and rent and expenditure and so on. We can map them. Just give that a second to load up the map. Oh, I've picked a dead one, that doesn't help. There we go, pick a pending one, and so you can see the details, and you can select more than one tenement to get the details all on the map at once. You can also use the standard functionality to export to Excel. So you can copy to Excel. This is also a new feature that we've added to all data grids. You can choose whether you want to copy into an existing workbook like you used to, or you can export to a new workbook. And you can also use Merge to Excel. So I'll show you that in a second. Come back to that one. Now you might actually be wanting to load up your tenements from a spreadsheet. So we'll just run through that. So you can set these up as tenement sets. So I've got a spreadsheet here that's a tenement schedule that's got a list of the tenements that I'm wanting to do due diligence on. So I can browse to it and that will create a tenement set. I can specify in here which worksheet I'm wanting to look at. So we'll pick sheet 1 on that one. Just go into that spreadsheet. So when you go into this, it will open up the spreadsheet, which enables you to have a look and make sure, okay, my tenements are in column A. And if I had multiple jurisdictions in here, I can say, okay, they'll be in column D. So the idea of this spreadsheet is just to basically let it know which tenements I'm looking for. So I can load the tenement list. It's going to do a search for those tenements. As you can see, that was really quick. And now I can view those tenements. Now we have got one merge template that's been set up explicitly for due diligence, which is available to download, and that one is just whoops, sorry, clicked the wrong button there. If I do a merge to Excel, it's Project Expenditure Exemption Report. I've just been reminded that we haven't actually put that on the user guide yet, but we'll be doing that shortly. And this one is going to do a report based on the combined reporting group that this tenement's in and the other tenements in that one. Now that takes about 45 seconds. So instead of running that now, I'll just show you one that I prepared earlier. So that's going to immediately spit out those details for you. The other reporting that we have available is with the reports button. So we've got a series of reports. I won't run through what they all are, but if I just give you another demonstration of how fast this is. If we wanted the dealing history of those tenements that were in my spreadsheet, click on that, it gives me the report on the dealing history, and then you can export that one to Excel or view it, anything you need to do with that. We've also got the ability to audit the spreadsheet. So my spreadsheet's got various information about the statuses and grant dates and things of these tenements, and I might want to have a look, has anything changed since this spreadsheet was constructed? And that's where auditing comes into it. So we've got a couple of different options. One of them is audit only, so that's just going to give me a new spreadsheet that shows me what the differences are. Append date to audit sheet just means that there'll be a date on the title of the sheet, so if you do it multiple times in the same spreadsheet, you can compare them across time. And also I might choose to remove missing tenements. So if I don't have audit only ticked, it will make changes to my original worksheet, and remove missing tenements means that if there are any tenements that aren't in the data set, it will remove them from the original spreadsheet. But I won't turn that on just yet. If I click on audit spreadsheet, it's going to create that new tab, and it's going to, that's a bit weird. The joy of demos is it's decided to not color code it for me this time. Okay. You're going to need to trust me on this. I've never had this happen before. It will normally generate the spreadsheet, it'll color code it, and it will give you indications of all of the changes that have been made. I have no idea why that's not doing it at this time, other than the fact that you're all looking at it. Yes, sorry, Jeremy has just reminded me what I missed in that one. Whoops, sorry. We do have a column map which I missed altogether. What this is doing is this is telling it what data is in which columns of the spreadsheet, and I missed doing that, which meant that it wasn't actually looking at that for me. So we can say in here which columns to look at. So the grant date is going to be the commencement date. The expiry date is going to be the expiry date here. And now it's going to work. And now Jeremy's laughing at me. So it's going to have a bit of a think. There we go. And so now it's letting me know that these ones have changed. They were live, sorry, they were pending, now they're live. We've got grant dates, expiry dates, and the holder has changed. So this one used to be Bob's Mining, and it's actually corrected that because it should actually be Australian Copper Holdings. Okay, so that's a really quick run through of due diligence. Obviously, once you start using it, you'll probably come up with some questions, so please feel free to give us a call. But as I said, we really strongly recommend anytime, if you are a mineral titles audit user, if you are wanting to do any of the activities that you would have normally done in mineral titles audit, please give it a go in LandTracker. We need to know if there are things that you are not able to do in LandTracker that do mean that you need to go back to mineral titles audit instead, so we can make sure that we've got all of those features included. You may find that there's some reports that you use that we haven't included because we have just built the ones that we know that everybody's using. So please let us know and we'll make sure that you've got everything that you need before the end of the year when mineral titles audit is discontinued.